Yeah, what I was trying to say before I got distracted on something else was that if you look, yes, there are logistical nightmares carrying stuff up from here, and if you look, we had to go all that way around. There's the red roof on that house, and we were able to see the house here. But if you look, and just tremendous views, just so beautiful up here. And if you are prepared to deal with this, what shall we call it, isolation, which if you have a family who are accustomed to living as hilltop farmers, this is actually a big house, probably twice as big as we've been making in the past, but this had special funding and they'd already started it when we came in. But you would be able to buy property up here comparatively cheap, comparatively, okay? But isn't that beautiful? And up there, look, there's the top of the bush. Look, that's the top of another hill. Now you can imagine the logistics of carrying all of these boxes up here. But the Filipino workers help us. They've been dealing with this all their lives. What I found with the Filipino workers is that they'll work without complaint, without griping, in really difficult conditions. That's the house that Lorraine and Dat's family have been living in. This is another pathway, but not sure if that's going away. It dwindles down to just a motorcycle track. That's the track that when Beth and I came to Nanai's house, that's the track that was there. That same kind of track. Special kind of people that can live this kind of life. Okay, from me. Well, we're almost ready to go from this brief visit to look at the house, and I'm looking out over that incredible view over there. You can see the water, see the ocean, see the next island. You can see beyond that to Cebu, and you can see all of this greenery. And I'm looking around, it can't be any more simple. You can see Beth there, she's in the middle of two sisters, Dat and Lorraine, and of course our lovely. And beyond that is a gathering. Visitors just come to spend time. There's a young lady there, and she's obviously pregnant. Even though I was always told to live the safe life and never ever to say to a woman, are you pregnant, until unless you can actually see the infant emerging. Good advice, I think. And those two little children there that came with the visitors, and they came and they overcame their shyness on the second try, and they came over and they pressed my hand to their forehead, which is the Filipino way of teaching a child to have respect for their elders. Now we do have electricity up here, which must have been quite a challenge, except that I can see that there is a source there and it goes over the hill, so maybe there are people living over the hill. Yes, they are the ones that came to visit. And I'm just looking at this as a simple life. You know, this is a life that foreigners try to run away to, and they come from all of the rigidity and regulations that exist in, well, certainly in the UK, in London, everybody living so close together. You have to have rules, and the more rules that there are, the more people get molded into a certain way of being. And I look at the people here, and they have time to visit with their neighbours. That's the simple house that Lorraine and Dad and her other sister and brother have lived in their whole lives. That's been their house, and they are the loveliest kids. So this was their backyard. And the strange thing is that the Filipinos here aspire to going to places like America, where they think everything is so glorious, and they would leave this life. So I have said in the past that the difference between children here and children, say, in any Western countries is a matter of discipline. They're not so disciplined. They're not so they're not as punished here. There are terrific downsides to living here. Rape is a problem that's more prevalent than in the West, as far as I know and as far as I hear. The incest thing, people living so closely together, whole families in one room, and fathers who may descend into drug use or alcohol, and then things start to go out the window. And you have to look at whether the children here, do they have such an idyllic way of life? The way that I see it is that they do. Lorraine and Dad grew up with this as their backyard. They walk probably 2 miles just to get down to the junction between their road and our road. And often they walk home. We drop them at that junction in the road there. There's a fork in the road where we go off to our house, and they go off to theirs, which is here. That's their house. And they do that without complaint. If it gets too dark and there's only the two of them, then they may